San Francisco, California is one of those iconic US cities that finds its way to many people's bucket lists in terms of places to visit. Whether it's the Golden Gate Bridge or Alcatraz or Lombard Street, the city has many landmarks and many historical aspects that's created an interesting kind of verve around San Francisco itself. Now, San Francisco is actually a pretty small, compact city, certainly not the sprawling masses of the likes of Los Angeles or New York. Indeed, the official population, I think, is just over about 800,000 people, which is actually very small compared to lots of those big US urban centers. That said, the city isn't the easiest of places to get around. Firstly, the public transport isn't the best. Those cable cars are pretty funky but very expensive and not the most practical way to get around. Also, it is very hilly. So you need a good pair of walking shoes to be able to negotiate the ups and downs of those streets. Rather than trying it yourself, though, I'd probably just go for a day trip, a city tour. Usually, you can get it done in a morning or an afternoon. These take you to all the major places around, downtown, City Hall, the Presidio, I don't know how it's pronounced, even over to the coast. So you want to all get it done nice and quick. That's a very easy option. An additional factor to that is San Francisco is a very diverse city. You can be walking through certain areas, and literally one block down, you cross the street, and it can get pretty rough. So things like sort of Fisherman's Wharf and downtown, they're all they're better. But for example, in downtown, if you think you're going to wander from downtown to City Hall, you go straight through the Tenderloin, which is a very rough area, lots of homeless people and drug addicts and that sort of stuff. So, yeah, keep your wits about you when you're wandering around, because we found that just going on your natural stroll around the place, suddenly you're in an area that's pretty dodgy, and you quickly turn around because people start accosting you. And on the topic of the homeless problem, we've been to San Francisco twice, and there was a 6 year gap between two visits. The second time, it was noticeably worse. Probably one of the worst cities, actually, I think I've seen in the States. And unfortunately, quite a few of the people were clearly disturbed. They had mental health issues and were drug abusers. So definitely try to not wander into the wrong part of town. I'd say Fisherman's Wharf was probably the best area. That's not necessarily just because of homelessness, but there was a great deal of pubs, bars, restaurants down there. Lots of obviously seafood restaurants. You've got the Ghirardelli, which I've been pronouncing wrong all this time. Ghirardelli, I think it's pronounced. The chocolate factory. That's really good chocolate. I love that chocolate. So yeah, that would be my recommendation if you are going to stay. Look around the Fisherman's Wharf area. Even so, on this channel, we're not all about the city. It's about trying to get out and about and see some different places on our days out. San Francisco's got a few interesting options to consider. The first option I have is one that's easiest to do and quite close to San Francisco. That's Muir Woods and Salito half day tour. You can also, if you wanted to, tag on Alcatraz, which probably is a good idea to make it a full day trip. The first stop is Muir Woods National Monument. This is about half an hour or so drive from San Francisco. The first thing you do, of course, is go over the Golden Gate Bridge, and there's a great stop off with absolutely fantastic view of the bridge and the San Francisco skyline. Once you've taken those obligatory photos, you head into the woods. So I say into the woods, you head to the woods. You get dropped off in the car park, and they give you, I think from memory, it was like half an hour, 45 minutes to have a wander round. The redwoods and the trees, absolutely lovely, really peaceful. One thing, I was actually slightly hungover, not slightly, actually properly hungover, because we drank some stupidly strong beer. But getting out of the van and just the fresh air, it was probably the best hangover cure I've ever had. Not that I'm recommending you get drunk and go to Muir Woods, but the air was that fresh that it actually got rid of my grogginess pretty much instantaneously. Yeah, you can also spend a lot more time there if you want. If you wanted to spend the whole day trekking there, I'd probably say it'd be a good idea to spend a day because it's such a lovely spot. But yeah, if you wanted just a quick highlight, then that's definitely a good way to see a bit of the countryside. The tour then continues down to Sausalito. I think that's how you pronounce it, Sausalito, which is a lovely, pretty little town just outside San Francisco. Lovely views across the bay. We went on a beautiful sunny day, so we got some great shots, but very quaint, very pretty. You have a little wander around and a spot of lunch. We'd actually booked the Alcatraz tour separately, so we didn't include that. But I think that would be a fantastic way after your lunch to spend an afternoon. This was a good option for you if you are wanting something a bit more gentle, a bit more relaxed, not too much of a drive. You get to see some nature and you get to see a pretty little town as well. The second day trip we did, which I'm going to recommend, is also slightly on the more gentle side, and that is a wine tour to the Napa Valley and Sonoma. First things first is the vineyards they take you to are in some really picturesque parts of the countryside. But wine tour is not really about the countryside. That's an added bonus. It's about the wine. I'm a big fan of American wine, and this tour we enjoyed some really nice samples of Zinfandel. I think it was Cabernet Sauvignon, maybe some Pinot Noir, some Chardonnay. Lovely, lovely wine, and it was good, especially because these were some of the smaller vineyards. So going along to people that have got a passion for it and do these things. It's not some huge industrial complex. Was a nice experience too. That said, we've been on other wine tours to South Africa and in Chile. One thing that's the downside of American wine is that it is expensive. So if you're planning on sampling some stuff and then buying some bottles, when we went, it was at least $50 for the cheapest bottle. So it's not the most cost-effective option in terms of expanding your wine cases. Even so, if you wanted a day out where you get to taste some nice local wine and get a few nice views of some pretty countryside, this is a good one for you. I've saved the biggest and best to last. So the final one I'm going to suggest to you is the Yosemite day trip. It's a big one in the sense of it's probably one of the longest day trips we've done. 14 hours it came into, and I think it was about 4-hour drive back from Yosemite. So it is a long old day. However, you get the chance to see Half Dome, El Capitan, Yosemite Falls, and get to wander around a little bit. Yeah, it would have been amazing to go hiking there, perhaps camping for a day or two. But if your schedule doesn't quite allow that and you need to get this ticked off the list, then a day trip is a long but rewarding way to do it. Anyway, those are some suggestions if you want to get out and about from San Francisco and see what the area holds. Okay, until next time.